Well, good Monday morning to you. Welcome to our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. I'm your host, Jim Tabor, along with Dr. Jim and Janine Fox of Doctor's Nutrition, located on Cal and Lorraine Road in Gulfport, just south of Pass Road. We do this every Monday, just in case you're just tuning in for the first time. It is a live call-in show in which we invite you to call in and ask questions regarding your health. Sometimes we have topics, sometimes we don't. We're just like today. Since we were off last week, we're doing Open Line Monday today. So that means whatever you question regarding your health, please feel free to call in, because that's what the show's all about, helping you live a healthier lifestyle. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you. And it doesn't matter how young or old you are, we'll help you out.
Yep.
Definitely. So
Anyway,
anything new?
Well, there's all kind of new stuff.
Always stuff new.
Always stuff new. If somebody asked me, one day, I think it was last week or the week before, about, well, how do you keep up with all the new stuff coming out? I said, you can't. Literally, you can't. I mean, I subscribe to quite a few different things where they just feed it to you. And it's like, oh my God, you can't keep up. I mean, the stuff is coming out so fast and furious, not just here in the United States, but all over the world. Various natural products, natural things that they find.
Studies coming out, research.
Research and so on, all over the world.
And we keep up mostly.
We try.
I mean,
we try.
Yeah.
It's tough, but yeah, so there's so much.
And you
new
keep
stuff.
up by reading.
Yeah.
I mean, reading what comes out.
Get blurry-eyed.
And making sure it's from a reputable source as well.
Right.
I mean, you can't just take somebody's opinion on the internet, which a lot of people do, and think that
It's on the internet, so it's
exactly. Got to be true.
Yeah, it's got to be true, right? Yeah.
If it's on the internet, it must be true.
We do get most of our research and information from peer-reviewed journals, which are published papers done where there's a committee that looks at it to see if it's valid.
It's like the New England Journal of Medicine.
Well, that's one of them. There's a lot of them out there.
They're all over
there are
the world.
so many journals. Yeah.
The Europeans are actually better at it than we are, believe it or not. Over there, and there's a lot of other places like Japan. I think believe it or not, even China subscribes to this. It's kind of weird, but in the European Union, they set up something. I think it was back in '04 or something like. It's been a while back. That if let's say that three of us published a paper, and we said this is our research, and we documented everything, we published it. We have to put a disclaimer on there that we don't have any financial stake in whatever we're talking about.
Right.
And if we're found to have lied about that in the European Union, it carries out what they call a penal code. They can put you in jail. Here in the United States, they say, hey, dummy, you shouldn't have said that. Over there, no, they'll put your butt in jail. And so the authors are very, very, so, occasionally, and every once in a while this comes up, somebody will say, well, that research was done in Japan.
Yeah, it's better.
That actually makes it a whole lot more valid than it does if it was done, say, at Harvard. I hate to say that, because Harvard's a good institution. But just saying, at Harvard, they could get away with it, or some other school. But in Japan, now they know if they actually knowingly say something that's not true and say, hey, I don't have a financial interest in this compound or product or whatever, then bingo, they can go to jail. Jail is a lot worse than just a slap on the wrist.
Say jail over there is a lot worse.
Jail's a lot worse. Yeah, they're
definitely a lot worse.
Jail, yeah.
All right, we have a question from a caller. What is cortisol, and should I worry about reducing it?
Definitely.
Well, cortisol is our stress hormone. It's basically our body. It's a steroid hormone that our body makes. And actually, when you take cortisone, or if your physician offers you cortisone, what you're getting is a synthetic version of cortisol. And they had discovered cortisol first, and then they made a synthetic version. So when they named it, what else? Cortisone, after cortisol. So it's been around for a long time, cortisol. And cortisol is the thing that gets us up, gets us going.
Right.
Helps us maintain.
It actually regulates the circadian rhythms.
Right.
So it actually wakes you up in the morning, and when it gets really low at night, you go to sleep. So it actually does help regulate sleep patterns. It helps with energy levels. It helps with it. So it's necessary.
Very.
I have people all the time ask me, oh, is it good to lower it real low? No, it's not. You have to have some. I mean, it's essential. It's just when it gets too high that it causes a lot of problems. And the types of problems that it causes that we see a lot is high blood pressure. See that one a lot with high cortisol. Weight gain,
Especially
anxiety.
Yeah,
Anxiety. So we see a lot of that. And just like you've always heard, stress can kill you. And if you have cortisol too high, cortisol also can cause diabetes if it's too high too long. So there's a lot of reasons that you definitely want to lower it. And there's some good natural products that lower cortisol.
That's kind of like the next question here was, what do you recommend naturally to cope with stress and anxiety?
Yep, for one,
right into it.
check your cortisol levels.
Yeah.
I mean, so you check your cortisol levels and you see if that's part of the problem. Now, we do a spot cortisol on all of our blood panels,
It's that important.
but there is a better test for cortisol. It is a little bit more expensive, but it is a much better test because sometimes it don't always show up on the spot cortisol. That 1 minute of that one day, it may not have been high, and it may be high later in the day because it changes throughout the day. So it's called the adrenal hormone stress profile. And with that test, it tests using saliva, so you don't come in and get stuck every time. It
Thank
uses
goodness.
saliva and checks it 6 different times throughout the day. And that gives you a graph of is it rising and falling when it should, or is it abnormal and you have to do something about it. So that is the best test, and that does make a big difference in anxiety.
And
Definitely.
One of the things that we see with cortisol, everybody on the internet will read, "Ooh, if you've got this, you've probably got high cortisol." And honestly, the symptoms for high and low can mimic each
be the
other.
same, yeah.
They're almost the same. And so people come in and they're taking a whole bunch of stuff. You know, they read, well, I must have low cortisol, so I'm taking this stuff to boost it up. And in actuality, they're jacking it way too high.
Right.
And so the best thing you can do, you know, of course, this goes back to anything, you know, check it first.
Right.
Don't just do it.
Yeah, we have tons of people that come in, they're going the wrong way.
Oh, yeah, bad.
With their cortisol because their symptoms, they just went by symptoms, and you really can't because they are so close together.
Yeah, you know, I'll always
Yeah.
equate it to your car. People can kind of understand that. Just because your car's not running right, you don't just open the hood, pour a quart of oil in it, and then check it later, or not ever check it. You don't do that. You check your oil. If it's okay, then it's something else, right? Same thing with your body. Check it. If it's the cortisol, you find out real quick. If it's not, well, it's something else. Got to check it.
Yep.
All right. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you. We are taking your calls. Well, it's Open Line Monday, so anything that you have to deal with, this must be the day for stress, because another question that we've got having to deal with stress coming up in just a moment, but we'll take the break first. It's 8 minutes after 9 o'clock on this beautiful Monday morning, and we'll be right back. Well, welcome back to our Monday morning live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. It's coming up on 10 minutes after 9 o'clock. Another question. I'm so exhausted when I go to bed at night, but my mind starts racing and I get stressed. What can I do to help to get a good night's sleep?
Wow.
Okay.
I'll let the insomniac here say it.
Yeah, that's all. I've had insomnia my whole life. I sleep okay now, but I take a lot of stuff to do it. But there are things to do to help, especially we hear this more from women. I don't know if the caller was a woman or a man, but we do hear it. But every once in a while I hear it from a man too.
Yep.
But by far, I hear it more from women. And there's a few things you can do. Now, 5-HTP does help with that mind racing. Unless you're on an antidepressant, you cannot take it. So you can only take it if you're not on a prescription antidepressant.
Right.
So 5-HTP works well. Check your cortisol, just like we were just talking about. If the cortisol is high, lowering the cortisol helps that as well. GABA is really good for calming the brain and sleep and things like that as well. Phosphatidylserine is another one that helps. I mean, there's so many things you can take. I take them all. There's so many things you can do though
Even
for
kava.
sleep. Even kava,
Theanine.
theanine, tyrosine. I mean, like I said, the best thing though, like we always say, now one thing that'll always make me do it and wake up almost panicked is if my thyroid's not right.
Yeah.
If I need to change my dose on the thyroid.
That's true.
So, and I take natural thyroid, but you do have to watch it and change the dose if you need to, but that'll always trigger mine as well. So doing the lab work to see what's going on is what I always say first. And then if everything looks okay, then there's things like that. And we do have, we have better rest formula. We got some, some people do okay with melatonin. I do not, but most people do. And melatonin has some really good effects. And I was telling somebody the other day and they had no idea. Most people don't.
Right.
Most people think of melatonin as sleep only. Melatonin has been shown to decrease basically heart damage if you have a heart attack. It helps brain function. It helps memory. It helps, melatonin, it boosts the immune system. So it keeps you from getting sick. There was a lot of stuff that came out when COVID was, first coming out, how melatonin could actually keep, one of the things you could do for COVID because it does help the immune system. So melatonin is very beneficial. You only do it at bedtime though. That's one thing you never take during the day.
No, there was the question was, I saw this thing on TikTok yesterday. And it's not only for just entertainment purposes. There's some educational stuff, and there was a pharmacist talking about 5 things that you should not be taking, that people that get prescriptions for. One of them was Ambien, and she recommended 5-HTP.
Yep.
That was her, that and the melatonin.
Yep. Right. So there's definitely things, and I always say it depends on the person, what's best for you. Is really with sleep, everybody's different.
I was going to say that's what we find is everybody's different. Everybody wants to know, what does she take?
A lot.
It's a lot. I mean, it's
But mine's been a lifelong thing. It's been since I was a little kid, so it's just me. So I have to do a lot to sleep, but that's just, my mind does not stop, and that's why that's why I made straight A's on tests, is it just went over and over and over in my head, and it never stopped. So I always made straight A's. I'm like, how could you not if you think all night long going over all the material?
Right.
So,
right. All right, getting away from the stress question here.
Good.
What do you recommend? Well, stress could have a deal with this. I mean, with your hair, what do you recommend for healthy hair?
Well, I mean, just a healthy body. I mean, now obviously, some of us have a little issue with hair growth, but I mean, if you don't have the pattern baldness.
Stress caused this. Stress caused this a long time ago.
Stress can make hair loss.
It can do that. There's no doubt. But just basically, the last thing the body tries to do is to maintain good quality hair. Okay, and think about it. It's got to worry about keeping the brain healthy and the heart healthy and all this other
and the
stuff.
Kidneys working, and the liver working.
So the hair takes the back seat.
Yeah, the hair's the back seat. Now, I know we look at it and say, whoa, gee, hair, I'm like, I can see that every day. I'll look in the mirror and all that. Yeah, but the body says, yeah, but your kidneys need it. You give this, that, So it's going to take the nutrients that you might think would grow hair, and they will. And it's going to put them some other place until you got everything satisfied.
Right.
So the key is a really high nutritional status.
Right. And there are some specific things known for hair.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, everybody knows about biotin. And biotin definitely, if I have somebody come in that tells me they took an antibiotic and then their hair started falling out, it usually is biotin, because biotin is depleted by antibiotics. So it depends on the situation too, but biotin doesn't always help the hair because it's not always a biotin deficiency. MSM, that is a nutrient that not everybody always thinks about. It's a source of sulfur. What is your hair got tons of? Sulfur. And when you burn it, it stinks. That's because it's a sulfur compound.
And one of the biggest problems we have is in nutrition, really, is overlooking sulfur. Years ago we did a radio show and we had Dr. Stephanie Seneff. She's a professor there at MIT, and Dr. Seneff, of course, she's really big on glyphosate. I mean, good God, get her started on that, and she'll really drown you in information and documentation on it. But we got her off on the subject of sulfur, and it's amazing. I mean, the lady, she knows her stuff, and she came up with just some amazing information about why our body needs sulfur so bad, and it's depleted in the diet, and that's one of the keys. Our diet sucks. I mean, it really does. I mean, the standard American diet, I've said it before, it's sad, truly is. And you have to think outside the box. We can't live inside a box that somebody we used to think Big Pharma was bad. Well, Big Agri is just about as bad. I mean, what they try to feed us, look for the bioengineered food. Yeah, that's a really big one if you've seen that lately. But, that's the stuff coming out now so we have to look at that. And it goes back to something as simple as sulfur.
Yeah. And then, of course, like I said, lab work.
Yeah.
You look for, yes, thyroid problems can make hair loss, not the only thing. Cortisol, high cortisol can make hair loss. Iron deficiency, B12 deficiency. I mean, you start looking at, you start looking at the nutrients and all that. And so you want to look and see where the problem lies.
Right.
Now, MSM is never going to hurt anybody to take. It's good for joints. It's good for allergies. It's good for a source of sulfur. So that's never going to hurt you. Biotin's actually pretty much, it doesn't hurt a lot either. I mean, so, and collagen, you know, collagen does help with hair.
Yep.
And there's a lot of people out there now, collagen's gotten so big that of course you're getting all the negative stuff trying to say, oh no, it doesn't help this, it doesn't help. Collagen does help. It's basically helps with all the connective tissues as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 17 minutes after 9 o'clock, 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. Our phone lines are open to you. It's an open line Monday. So any questions that you may have regarding your health, please pick up the phone and give us a call because we only have one more break left. But we'll have that and this week's special coming up right after this. And welcome back. It's our final segment of this morning's Doctor's Nutrition Live show. Let's go ahead and look at our special of the week. It is?
It's ocular support. Ocular means eye. And so what we're looking at, you know, it's something we overlook, but the little pun intended, a lot as far as our eye health. And I think it's something that we think it's something really that we all need, because she and I both take it, simply because eyes are very important.
They are, and a lot of people don't even realize it until they start having,
Vision
they're
problems,
told that they are starting to have macular degeneration or they're starting to have this, and they say, oh my gosh, what can I do for my eyes? And so that's what we hear a lot. So it is a formula that has a lot of good stuff for the eyes, and it's not just your normal E, C, like some of the ocular products out there, they just have the basic nutrients.
Right.
This one does have extra in it. It has
lutein,
lutein,
xanthan,
bilberry.
Does it help with floaters?
You know, some people have told me it has.
Yeah, but not. I mean, that's not the
over
most thing
time.
I would do with floaters.
Yeah.
Because I have them in my right eye, but sometimes they're like right now, could hardly tell.
Yeah.
But there's other times it's like I can't even
Stress plays a big role in floaters.
I've heard
Yep.
that.
So you just got to keep
y'all have
stress.
told me
There's
that.
that stress word
down.
again.
Yep, that's stress.
Okay.
Yeah, there's been a lot of stress things today.
Yeah, really.
And that's something that's driving everything. I mean, everybody we talked to lately, me and him talk about it at the end of the day, everybody is stressed out.
Yeah.
That is something we're seeing. Just the world in general is not.
You have no idea.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you know, everybody we talk to, you know, without a doubt, you know, if you just ask them, well, are you stressed? Well, who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Have you seen the news lately?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty screwed up, you know. And so, yeah, but it is something that we deal with daily, and it's amazing. You know, she and I go home, like say at night, and talk about, well, you know, blah blah, what we've done today, and it's amazing how much of it goes back to that.
Yeah.
S word,
Even this time of the year, when there's those hurricanes out there, and they're not even.
I know that.
They're not even
Yeah.
coming here, and people. So the other day somebody said, I don't understand why I'm so anxious because I know it's not coming here. And I said, we all have PTSD if you were here during Katrina.
Exactly.
So we really, anybody that was here, they
Maybe
still.
you're here for 2 class 5 because I was here when Camille hit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was
Okay.
12.
So it really
No, you
does.
definitely got PTSD.
Yeah, it really does make you more anxious. So,
It does.
But this time of the year is hard around here just because of all those storms popping up out in the
And then
water.
Christmas is right around the corner, and that's, you know, it's like, oh my God.
Another stressful time.
Let's see. I've heard that nuts are good for a daytime snack. What kind do you recommend?
Well, the tree nuts are best. Okay.
Yeah.
Things like your, you know, pecans, walnuts, almonds, cashews. Those
Pistachios?
Are. Yeah.
Pistachios are really
Probably
good.
one of the
There's
best.
actually some
I
really
keep a
good,
bag of those
Yep.
in my
Those things are
drawer.
so good.
there's really good
on
research on
salad,
pistachio and the
they're
heart.
good.
I haven't
Yeah.
put them on a
Oh,
salad.
they're so good on a salad.
Oh, they're on a salad. Oh God, they're great.
I would say walnuts and pistachios probably have some of the best research.
Yeah.
Now almonds do too, but almonds are a high allergen. When
They
we
are.
do food allergy test, it's a real high allergen in a lot of people. And so it just depends on the person, but that is a high allergen. But it is a good nut just for a snack if you don't have an allergy to it.
Oh yeah.
All right. The recent death of Jimmy Buffett has me more concerned about skin cancer. What kind of things should I look out for?
Look for anything on your body that changes.
It's abnormal.
If you've got a mole here, and it's been there for like, I don't know, in my case, a long time, then I'm not worried about it. If it's been there, the same thing, hadn't changed, not too concerned. When it changes, when it starts to grow, and especially like he
Changing
had the
colors.
Merkel cell, changes colors. Even a growth that doesn't have any color to it to begin with, that could be a Merkel cell.
Even when you get like a place on your skin that gets real itchy and like you
Right.
think it's dry, but it never gets better no matter what you put on it, That's
I
also
have some
needs to be
spots on the
checked.
top of my head that I've had people ask me about, and I said, well, I get them checked.
I always recommend people going to the dermatologist. They're used to looking
Yeah.
for abnormalities, and they're really good at looking with that little loop thing and making it making it bigger where they can see if there's something else going on. So we do recommend people,
Yeah.
especially if you've ever had it. Now, another thing, research is really good on niacinamide for prevention of skin cancer.
Right. Takes about a
And,
gram of it a day.
yeah, it takes
1,000 milligrams.
1,000 milligrams a day of niacinamide, not niacin, specifically niacinamide. And it has some really good research. We even have a lot of the dermatologists that do tell people to come get
Right.
it. So that's one that you can take if you're worried about it, but also just pay attention to your skin.
And you know,
And if you see something abnormal, go get it checked.
And if you're like me and you've already had some of this stuff cut and burned off of you, my thing is if I'm outside, I'm gonna cover up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care, how hot it is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cover up because
Especially
I know,
your light skin, easy
Yeah.
burn,
Yeah, that's neat.
easily damaged skin.
Yeah.
That does make a difference. Now, anybody can get it. It don't have to be that complexion, but those people with that
And
complexion
sunscreen
tend
is
to
very
have more.
important.
Yes,
Very
but use the
important.
right kind of sunscreen.
Yeah, you go to the environmental working group.
Yep.
And they've got a thing on there about what's good and what's bad and what you shouldn't be using. And so go to the environmental working group at ewg.org. Great place to go, got a lot of great information there. And they'll tell you which one of the sunscreens you should be using or can use. They're safe because there's a lot of them that are safe.
A lot of them, the chemicals in them is worse for you than the problem.
Yeah, because stuff that we put on our
Yep,
skin
soaks
soaks
in.
through our skin. And, eventually it gets inside us and that's
Yep.
not a good thing.
Another question. We're always told to stay hydrated during these hot days. Can you drink too much water?
Yeah.
You can. I mean, you can actually wash out your electrolytes. You always hear if you need electrolytes when you're dehydrated, but you can actually wash them out by overhydration. So
And we've actually run into that occasionally.
occasionally, not often, but occasionally.
We'll see somebody who's got very low sodium and
Yeah.
chloride and one thing and another on their blood work and say, do you eat salt? Oh yeah. Well,
How much water you drink?
Yeah, a huge amount of water. Oh yeah, I drink 2 gallons a day or something. No. Let's back down just a little bit because
So water is important. We see way more dehydration than we see overhydration.
A lot more
So we do see a lot more. And if you do sweat a lot and you're outside a lot, you do need a little bit more than normal.
Yep.
So you just have to find out what's normal for you. And one way of doing it is to check your electrolytes and make sure that you're not flushing them out.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. 896-0713 or 800-349-0713. We got about a minute left. So if you have any last minute question you want to call in and ask the doctors, what are we talking about next week?
Something that's huge, and that is childhood obesity. It is definitely on the rise.
Oh yeah.
And we are
Unfortunately.
seeing a lot of it. Of course, we're in a state that sees more
Well,
than
we're number one in obesity.
we are. And the childhood obesity, I haven't looked at the actual statistics, but my guess is it's probably number one also. But we do see a lot, and we're seeing more and more. So we were going to talk about that.
About that statistic about Mississippi being number one in obesity. Yeah. And if you find the state that's the least amount of obesity, or so to speak, and we're only a percentage point.
Right.
away.
And
It's
everybody's getting
minuscule.
more obese.
Small, yeah.
It's getting to be a problem
Everywhere.
across the country.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning for another live edition of the Doctor's Nutrition Show. You can find a lot more information, of course, on their Facebook page or go to doctorsnutrition.com. And they also have a lot of great things there and some links to some previous shows. Have a great week. Stay hydrated.
For more information on highlighting your business and services on Healthy Living South Mississippi, contact Jim Tabor at 896-1313.